I'm Marcel Clark. This is Hustle and Grow. I'm here with my man Omer Reshid. How we doing?
Great, man. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Thank you. I thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Top 40, under 40? I mean, that's a big deal. Tell my viewers about that.
Yeah, so I got into real estate at a pretty young age. I got into real estate at the age of 18, had a mentor, and, I've just been hustling my way. And by the time I was 21 years old, I was, one of the most elite top producers in the Washington, D.C. area. And every year they do a 30 under 30 and a 40 under 40. And I actually made under the 40 under 40. And I was the youngest person there at 21 years old.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah.
What were some of those keys to your success at a young age?
So a couple of things. I mean, I moved here from Ethiopia just 6 years ago. So I'm like fresh off the boat, right? So
6 years ago?
6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, coming, taking over.
We're trying to. So, I think definitely the work ethic from back home is a little different. I mean, you come here and you see the opportunity, you're like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like in Ethiopia, you could work your ass off, you could be a great entrepreneur, great whatever, but like a physician there gets paid $150 a month, right?
Wow.
That's one of the smartest people in our country getting paid $100. So, the opportunity here, I feel like people don't really realize it because they grow up with it,
Right.
they live with it. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But this is the land of opportunity. So, definitely the work ethic from back home. And I would definitely say that just like my mentors, I think mentors are the hack to success.
Really?
Genuinely.
Ah.
Not school, not anything. Mentors.
I was reading about your mentor. You want to tell them about him?
So yeah, my mentor, Omer Kuraishi, I found him on Instagram, power of social media. I was actually just scrolling through TikTok and I saw some guy, random guy, not my mentor, just breaking down a real estate deal where he made like $25,000. I was like, some bullshit scammers.
Right.
All my entrepreneurs now. So I kept scrolling, but something made me go back to it. I was like, let me just go back. And I stalked his page a little bit, and that intrigued me enough to go on Google and just search up real estate near me. I had no idea what it meant, brokerage, residential, development, I don't know.
Right.
Just real estate near me, I don't know what it meant. And the number one real estate firm at the time in the Washington, D.C. area, the One Street Company, popped up. It was 0.3 miles away from my school at the George Washington University where I was going to study bio, actually. I was going to be a doctor, be a physician. And I found out who the founder and CEO was, Omer Reshid. He looked cool. I went on his Instagram, I stalked him, and I was like, you know what? I sent him a cold email. I was like, hey, my name's Omar. I'm a freshman at GW. I'm studying biology. I know nothing about real estate, but I would love the chance to come and learn for you. I will work for you for free. I'll get you coffee. I'll do your paperwork. I don't care what it takes. I just want to learn from you. And I actually again, social media comes a little bit more natural to us younger people, right? So I was like, I'll do your social media, get you to grow on there. Surprisingly enough, this guy, multimillionaire developer, one of the biggest brokers in DC, emails me back an hour later. He was like, no one's emailed me like this before. Come on down, let's talk.
What?
I was like, what? He asked me to come to his office at 9 a.m. the next day. I didn't go to class that day, went straight to his office. Mind you, I have an afro now too a little bit, but at the time I had like this big of an afro. Skinny kid from Africa just walking into this big building right in front of the White House, and the assistant looks at me and she goes, can I help you? I was like, oh, I'm here to see Omer. And she was like, oh, you must have the wrong person, because that's the CEO, right? This is top floor. And I was like, no, I'm here. And I had to show her the email for her to believe me. She's like, well, he's not here yet, but feel free to just wait for him. I waited till like 11 a.m. in that lobby.
What?
Wasn't there. Finally comes in, I introduced myself. He's like, who are you? I was like, oh, I'm the kid that emailed. He's like, oh, I didn't think you were actually gonna come. I have nothing planned for you, but feel free to just hang out with me. And he was bummed out about it because he's like, oh, I feel bad I don't have anything planned for this kid. But for me, that was a win. I'm gonna hang out with a multi-millionaire. I was in his office. We went to development sites. It was my first time in a G-Wagon. I was just like, I don't know what this guy does because I didn't fully understand it, but this is it.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do.
You knew it.
That's kind of when it started.
Wow, and again, here we go. You see what he did? He just basically said, look, I'll do whatever it takes to work and just be around somebody that can mentor me for free, right? Sends an email for free, and how valuable was that to you?
The 9 months I interned for Omer for free was worth more to me than $1 million, maybe even more than that.
Wow.
Any sort of income that I will make and have made has come from that. I learned more about life, business, taxes, real estate, anything in that 9 months of interning for him. And it wasn't even like a formal thing where he would wake up in the morning and we go to his office. He's like, this is what a 1031 exchange is or whatever. No, it was just literally just being around him, listening in on the conversations, the people, the meetings. I learned so much.
Wow, I mean, that's huge. And now, when you're doing real estate in this area, you
Yeah.
know, Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
metropolitan area,
Yeah.
that's pretty competitive.
Yeah.
What types of things do you do to kind of separate yourself from the competition?
100%. One, I feel like you just got to know your craft, right? I got to know DC better than anybody else. I got to know what's going on. I do a lot of networking. I feel like especially in real estate, your relationships and your community is more important than anything you could do or know.
Right.
So I have a really wide network, definitely huge on social media. Marketing is everything, right? So I work primarily with developers and listing their homes and selling their homes, their buildings. So marketing is everything. So having that understanding of social media and marketing really helps. And again, now I own a marketing agency too, so it kind of all coincides together. But having huge online presence has been what's differentiating me from your typical realtor, especially the older ones that have been in the business for a while. A lot of, Ryan Holmes, for example, is someone we're talking to right now. They have a community in Laurel that's coming up, and they could obviously get their own in-house sales agent like they do, or they could hire just like a regular realtor that's been in the industry for 30, 40 years. But one, it's not about how long you've been in the business, it's about how much volume you've actually done and how many transactions you've done. Because, an agent might be like, I've been in the business for 30 years, but I've done twice the sales that they have in the 3 years that I've been in the business, right? So experience comes with the types of deals you've done and how many times you've done it, less than the amount of years you've been in the business. So the combination of social media, networking, and just knowing your craft is what separates me, I think.
You know, a lot of times when I have guests, one of my key questions is like, what kind of real challenges they face, during their ascension, right?
Yep.
But I think for you, I like what you touched on earlier about when you first came to this country.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's helped you with your drive? Because you kind of probably see everybody else is taking advantage of all of these things, and yet you come from a country where it just, so does that motivate you? Is that one of the things that kind of keeps you going?
100%, man. To give you perspective, when I came here and I saw that we had iPads in our high school, I was like, what the heck? I was like, you guys got iPads and you're complaining about getting, I was like, so no, yeah, absolutely. That's definitely one of the big factors. And again, too, my parents are a huge part of it because my dad, again, people think, third world country, they think horrible life. We had a good life in Ethiopia. We had a great life there. Obviously, different type of lifestyle, but it was a great life. And, my dad left all of that for me to come here and have a better education. So my entire thing was, whatever it took, and at the time I thought I had to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, the immigrant mindset, that I had to put my dad and my family back in the position that they were at, right? So that was my entire goal. So the drive for me, I generally just don't understand how other people don't have it just naturally, but for me, it's just there was always a fire in me. It's like, I got to make this shit happen.
So are there any other entrepreneurs in your family?
So my mom's an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And my uncles too. So my uncle was actually one of the big ones. So it's funny, when I was moving to the United States, he actually was the person that drove me to the airport. He owns a cement factory in Ethiopia and it does pretty well too. And my mom's a boss too. She works with him. It's a family business. And when we were driving to the airport, he goes, look, I know you want to be a doctor. I know you want to do engineering, whatever, typical. He said, just look into business. He was like, we have enough doctors, we have enough lawyers. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. At the time, I just wanted to be a doctor because I thought that was, the successful thing. So now looking back, I'm like, wow, like he did influence me a lot. But yeah, my mom's an entrepreneur.
I'm almost starting to feel like it might be genetics, man. No, really, because every entrepreneur that I come across right now that I'm in this space, a lot of us either had a family mentor, somebody that we saw executing on entrepreneurial goals, or we just basically have this drive, this, you can't even describe the intangible that's there that basically, like you said, I mean, you see a hole and you go, hey, I'm going through that because everybody else is kind of always looking around, but
100%.
we just have another gear.
We figure it out.
Yeah, no matter what. I like how you said that. We just figure it out no matter, what kind of obstacles we face. We figure it out.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I can't do that. I think the question we ask is like, oh, okay, like how can we make it work? It's like that's we just change the way we ask questions. It's like, oh, like I need $60,000 to renovate this entire studio and turn it into a place that can bring in a ton of money. Oh, I don't have $60,000. How can we find $60,000? Where can we? Are we gonna get a loan for it? Or we just figure out how to make shit happen.
Just always going. So for my young realtors over here, well, I'm talking to a young realtor who's killing it. So anybody that's trying to get into real estate, what would be the top 2 things you would tell them to pay attention to if they want to be successful?
Yeah, I would pay attention to 2 things. Number 1, finding a mentor. Like I said, real estate, and in my opinion, real estate and sales is the best industry you could possibly get into. Real estate specifically, but just sales in general. I don't care if you're selling software, I don't care if you're selling cars, I don't care if you're selling real estate, but obviously the higher the price point of what you can sell, the more money you can make and the better. But I think sales is generally the only industry where you can be 18, 19, 20, 21, 25 and make hundreds of thousands of dollars based off of your input. It's not a set salary. It's like, yeah, of course, if I don't sell anything, I don't make any money. But at the same time, if I sell 3 houses this month, I'm going to make $60,000 this month, right? So number 1 is definitely finding a mentor. And then number 2 is really honing in on your craft. Like really as in, if the money's in the niches, in my opinion. Like obviously you can be a realtor that helps everyone. I still help everyone, first-time home buyers, sellers, DC, Maryland, Virginia. But I feel like if you can niche down and hone in on whether it's a location, demographic, that'll be your thing. Like right now, developers are my thing. Like those are my main bread and butter. So I focus on them, I kill on them. Let's say you're focusing on Laurel in that specific zip code. You might think, oh, it's such a small zip code. No, I think you'll make more money if you focus on a certain area than you do trying to run around DC, Maryland. You're going to Waldorf, Maryland, then you're going to Baltimore, then you're going to Alexandria, then you're going to Washington, West End, Georgetown. No, I think money's in niches. So number 1, find a mentor, and then number 2, find your niche.
All right. So those are 2 incredibly, insightful things. So for those people that don't understand how, your industry works, so are you still under a broker or are you doing your own thing now?
Yeah, so I'm still under a broker. In my opinion, there's no need to go out and be a broker. It's just, especially right now, we just had a huge lawsuit that just happened, NAR lawsuit, and a lot of brokerages are dealing with it and feeling it. But again, when you're working under a brokerage, you're protected, you're good to go. So in my opinion, so I have a team right now, KO team. We're a small team, but we do volume, and that's kind of my limit. I'm not gonna go out and try to be a broker just because, again, legality, all that good stuff. So we have a team. The way it works is you're an agent. If you've been an agent for 3 years and you take your broker's license, you can be a broker, but there's no need. And just for anyone that wants to get into it or learn about real estate, the barrier to entry is so low to be a real estate agent. Everyone and their mother is a real estate agent. Obviously, the ones that actually sell, do good, and make money, very low because 90% of the business is done by 10% of the industry. But getting into it is super easy, online, ceshop.com, 60 hours, knock it out in a week if you wanted to.
Yeah. So you touched on something that I'm sure, I don't want to go into the weeds, but your industry is kind of changing now based on these commissions that, huge lawsuit, basically, most of the time you pay 3% on both sides. Now those commissions are going to change. Is it going to really, is it going to impact your industry in a negative or positive way? What do you think?
Honestly, I think it's going to, in my opinion, impact us in a very positive way.
Okay.
I think the ones that do their business and their real estate at a high level are not going to get affected whatsoever. I think the ones that are kind of like, oh, this is a side gig for me, like you really have to show your value now more than ever.
Like
if I was just like, oh, I'm a realtor, I'm just going to make 3% off of this deal because I sent out 2 emails, it might affect you a little bit. Buyers might be like, I'm not paying 3% for that. So again, the only thing that's really changing right now is that you can't display what percentage is going to be paid to the buyer's agent. I think that's still going to be put in somewhere, the disclosure, something like that. And then 2 is, again, for the sellers that decide they don't want to pay a buyer commission, the buyers might have to be the ones to end up paying that. And again, if you're a buyer and you're buying a house and I'm telling you have to pay me $10,000 for you to buy a house, I better be a damn good realtor for you to pay that. Right?
That's very, very true.
I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. I think nothing is really, you could always negotiate your commission. As a developer, you know this. If you're selling your property, even back then, before the lawsuit, you could be like, Omar, I only want to do it for 2%.
Yeah, it was
It
negotiable.
was always
Actually, that's
negotiable.
what I would always do. I would always, specifically based on the magnitude of the deal,
100%.
I would always automatically go, we need to be at 2%.
If you're in the best street in DC and you know it's going to sell in one day on the market, of course you're not going to pay the full 5-6%. If it's again, obviously you negotiate. So like my developers right now, but I have a listing right now on Irving Street, 517 Irving Street. We just went under contract on it last week, and I did it for 1.5% for my developer because it was literally sold in a day. This is a developer that I've built a long-term relationship with, so it's for me, it's more about the relationship than anything, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think it's just a quick commission check and then on to the next one. No, I keep my developer happy. I keep more money in his pocket. He keeps money in my pocket. It works out. You work as a team, right? So it's definitely always been negotiable. I don't think anything's going to change. Again, like I said, you just have to show your value a lot more as a realtor now than ever.
Yeah, and I think I like what he said about relationships. That's so important these days where like he's mentioning, he saves me money, money's in my pocket. And guess what? I also talk to everybody that's in my circle about Omar, and next thing you know, he's getting additional business. So, drilling down on that and understand what he's saying is, listen, he puts a lot of attention on the people that they're serving because he wants them to have a great experience. That's why he's up there. He takes he has a lot of respect for the nuances of the business, and I like that. And you talked about your team. You said small, but like how important are they to you?
They're everything to me. Like there's very few people that I'll trust with my clients. Like my clients are very sacred to me. So for me to trust you and put you on my team to where you'll work a deal with me and just even talk to my clients, that stresses me out. So I have to make sure that you're super qualified, you have that same kind of respect and mindset as me. So my team is amazing. My partner Kalena, she's phenomenal, sweetest person. She's a beast. She hustles. Yassine, same thing. So again, for me, it's small and niche is the move. It doesn't have to be this big team and you have a million different people and one person treats the client different. No. 5-star experience throughout. My client has to feel the same way talking to me that they do talking to Kalena.
Wow, and that's huge, right? So what he's telling you is so valuable because he's saying that everybody on his team is an extension of him.
Yep.
And he's not going to just hire anybody. He's not going to just say, hey, come on, because he can make a commission. He's like, listen, the way he respects his business and how he goes about it, he's making sure that anybody that's on his team is reflecting that same 5-star service. So that's huge. Then you touched on that you created a marketing company.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So again, like I said, my bread and butter has always been sales and real estate, and the reason why I was popping off and doing so well was because of the marketing. I did such great marketing for my sellers, for my developers that, and I was also doing it for my old broker, my mentor, Sammer. So a lot of people started asking us, "Oh, who does your marketing? Who does your marketing?" I was like, "Yeah, I do it myself." And people were like, "Can you do it for me?" And I would just do it for a friend here or there, other realtors, brokers, whatever. But then a couple of years into it, I was like, "This is a business. Like there's such a huge need." I saw all the marketing agencies that were out there. I hired them for some things and it just sucked. I was like, this can be so much better. So 2 years ago, I started Refitified. We're a real estate focused marketing agency. So we came in and against everything that I was already doing for myself, we just expanded it out to other agents. So we do a ton of apartment buildings, developers, brokerages, teams, and then now we've also expanded out to like local businesses. So we have a ton of coffee shops, some of the biggest restaurants, BWI, airports, our clients. So we've expanded out to just kind of being more of a wide-ranged marketing agency, but we started off as a real estate focused marketing agency.
Wow. And what were the two biggest barriers that you faced when you were creating that wing of your company?
That I would say was the importance of a team and hiring. So when I'm doing sales, when I was doing real estate, it was just all about me.
Right.
I was killing it. I'd do my thing. Obviously, I'd have some team members that help me out, whatever. But now, it's building a company is totally different from being a highly paid salesperson. So now, it's management, it's HR, it's finding good people, maintaining the people, keeping them happy. Again, customer service. It's great when you're small and you're doing everything yourself, but then once you start to expand and get bigger, you're much further away from the client. So I
Right.
got to make sure that everyone in between them is still giving that same level of service. So for me, I would definitely say just building the company in general. I thought, again, everyone says, you run your own business as a real estate agent, which you do, you are your own business, but you're a highly paid salesperson. That's what it is. I'm in sales. So building a company in general, that was hard.
What else are you into? Yeah, so like, what's next for Omar?
Yes, I mean, right now, the bread and butter, sales and marketing, those are my two babies. We just opened up a studio on Georgia Ave. Again, everything that I like to do coincides with what I'm already doing. So the real estate, the marketing collabs together, real estate marketing. The studio makes sense from my marketing because where we bring clients now, they can film their podcasts, whatever it is. I can use it for myself, for my personal brand. Started a staging company. Same, I have a team already, so my team uses the staging company. So it all intertwines. The marketing company does the marketing for the staging company. So just keeping it niche, as in like I want to stay within the real estate world, but then still kind of expanding out. So right now, just hustling, man. Just making sure all the companies work well. They're running smooth. My main thing, again, with every single business is just obsession with client customer service. Like I feel like I could have the shittiest service, but if my client customer service is so amazing and they love me so much, they're still not going to leave me.
Wow.
So just making sure that the companies are running well. I have a goal to start an education company soon. So when I was in high school, my senior year, we didn't talk about this, but I was on the Baltimore County Board of Education. And I advocate a lot for like ESOL students because I was an ESOL student, like the English learning students, whatever. And there was a couple, like, again, inequalities and stuff that I spoke up about. And again, I was on the board. I saw how policy was made, curriculum. But the one thing I've realized, and now that I'm on the entrepreneur side, is that school doesn't get us ready for life.
Yeah.
Like
That's a whole different show.
whole different. We can talk an hour for
That
that.
is so, but that is so true.
So like, just again, just being able to know the basics, like what's credit, how do loans work, how do I rent an apartment, like just the basics of life. I feel like once you come out of high school, you should be life ready and not just college ready.
Yeah.
Because college is not for everyone. Again, I went to college. I'm not saying don't go to college, but it's not for everybody.
Right.
So just making sure that high school gets us more, ready for life. So I'm planning on creating an education system around the three things that have changed my life, which is sales, marketing, and just business in general. And then obviously the financial sector of things, of like the important stuff of like, I would rather have an 800 credit score versus $100,000 cash. You tell that to a regular person, like, what are you doing? Stupid, right? But you know that an 800 credit score can get you a credit line for $500,000. Like, so definitely next big step for me is building an education company.
I like Omar because he told you a couple of things there. First of all, if you flash back to what he was saying about his businesses, he's saying that he keeps his businesses within the realm of everything that he does, right? So even if you touch on staging, for those of you that don't know, staging is when they're going to sell a residential property and they basically put furniture in there, like someone lived there, and they have it laid out and it looks great, and it raises the percentage of the sale. Like people will come in and go, oh, they can see what they want to do with the property. So he owns that business. So he doesn't have to go out and find a staging company. He's keeping the money in-house. So he's making money doing what he's doing anyway,
already,
right? Like that's the brilliance of an entrepreneur that understands how it works to create a system that's going to be profitable from all angles. And then secondly, he's saying that he's going to create, this education thing so he can give back. I think that's what's really important when you really start to make it, is to understand there's a lot of room out here for all of us, right? And how he's trying to influence the next generation to go, listen, this is what you need to do because this is what I went through, right? That's bigger than anything else that he's doing. This man gonna be a billionaire. Remember, he was here. All right, he's gonna be a billionaire. You really doing it, Omar, man. I'm proud of you. How old?
22 now.
22. He just embarrassed me, man. 22.
Yeah.
That's impressive right there to be doing all of
Appreciate
that.
you, bro.
So where can my people find you?
I'm all over the place. Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. It's under Omer, O-M-E-R, spelled weird. O-M-E-R, Reshid, Omer Reshid _. And you can find me everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube.
Omer Reshid, man, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, you were
This was
very
phenomenal.
impressive, man.
Thank you,
Like
man.
this is what I'm talking about. Bringing in people that are really doing it and showing it to you from so many different angles. So, you guys know me. I'm Marcel Clark. This is Hustle and Grow. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because I want to do a lot more shows like this.